Questlove Show is a production of iHeartRadio. Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? This is the Questlove Show. This is the Double Love Show, I guess. This is the Love Summit meetings.
And the Love Convention.
I'm meeting the Love King right now. We're talking to the Love King. What can I say, ladies and gentlemen? From the DMV. All right. So whenever I mention the DMV, it's like only DMV people know what that means. Anywhere else,
not the Department of Motor Vehicle.
I know, but I'm like, is it a thing where it's just like it's not? Is that really your tri-state area? Like, do people call that area the DMV?
Yeah, but I would never say it on the record.
Got you, because everyone would think it's the Department of Motor Vehicle.
Love King forever.
Got you.
DMV for life.
Our guest today is a singer-songwriter, activist, a legendary radio show host. I mean, HER. I was secretly jealous when I heard you got that gig, man. I'm like, he has worked with a lot of our favorites, of course. Start with Jazzy Jeff, Boney James, Jill Scott, my own band, The Roots. Actually, you're the last voice on the last official Roots album. So much. Of course, we know him as the Love King, so I give him. I respect that title. His latest EP, of course, is The Quiet Storm Lover.
To my own.
Yes. And, you know, right now he's a part of what I am sure is going to be like one of the top tickets of 2026, the Say Yes Tour with Floetry and Teacher Moses. Representing the Department of Motor Vehicles to the fullest. Welcome. All right, so I have to ask you this question. What is love truly?
Oh man,
I'm gonna ask you a lot of weird questions.
It's a connection spiritually with the Creator, with God. For me, it's a connection to community. It's random acts of kindness. Mm-hmm. In its purest form when nobody's watching. Besides just the universe and the Creator and God.
That part.
Yeah.
When it's not performative.
When it's not performative.
Yeah.
It's painful. It's brutal truth. Looking at yourself in the mirror. It's diving deep within. I love
that you're saying that.
To the dark places in your mind and
mm-hmm.
and shadow work and a lot of things.
I want to. All right, so. And again, you're taking the Love King title because I think that's too much pressure on me. But to be the Love King, I think that one should be able to name for me 5 songs mm-hmm. that must be on every mixtape. Now, for me, I have been my first job as like a mixtape master mm-hmm. is the Roots tour bus. Okay. Especially in the lean years when like 19 of us had to be on a tour bus, really just made for like 13.
Yeah.
And so living, and again, I'm talking about like us living on the road. Mm-hmm. The mixtape was always just like the moment of relief. Initially, Hub, our bass player, was the king of what we called the mellow tapes, mm-hmm. where he'd be the first on the bus, and he would have like at least 6 or 7 90-minute tapes of like, what we call the Sunday afternoon cleaning music. Roy Ayers, Stevie, like the usual suspects and whatnot. And then like I took over once I realized like, oh, well, I'm tired of hearing everybody was sunshine every time I get on the tour bus. So mm-hmm. what 5 songs do you think must be on every mixtape of love?
Stevie Wonder.
Which song?
As.
Okay. You going fast?
Are we going fast or slow? We going
I'm
slow?
talking.
Let's
Come
go.
on, bro.
Let's go slow. Let's go. Joy Inside
I'm trying to get 5 Sons too.
Stevie Wonder, Joy Inside My Tears.
Okay. That's weird. When that album came out, it came out when you were born in 75?
Yeah, 75.
All right, so
yeah.
you were 1. I was 6, so I was just aware. Like, that album was like a major event in every household.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, like, oh, man. Then this is back in the day where you couldn't touch the turntable.
Yeah.
So you had to listen to the whole record. And so whenever Joy's on My Tear come on, I'm like, oh, man, this slows. Like, I want Black Man to come on after it and whatnot. So I'm like, all right, let me leave. But, all right, Joy Inside My Tears.
Sade, Cherish the Day.
Okay.
Marvin Gaye, Distant Lover.
Okay.
That's 3. I'm 3 in the
That's
hole.
3. You 3.
Ugh.
Come on now. You
Luther Vandross.
Which one?
House Is Not a Home.
Okay. All right.
And I got my one left, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Prince, Darling Nikki.
Damn. Wait a minute. That's the record scratch moment.
What's my camera? Touch yourself.
Yo, I was not expecting. In my mind, I'm like, okay, was he Scandalous with Two Are in Love or Do Me Baby? Oh, you went there. All right. Okay.
Now, of course, I'm gonna have to have some other things in there to make it. To make it click.
I'm gonna try a combination
to make it all work.
To see what happens. See what happens. All right. So, what was your first musical memory in life? Your first memory of music? What was it?
Oh man, it was Green Hill preschool, and there's this photo of me conducting. I think it was like the kids choir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. So it's just like this photo, this nostalgic photo of my mother. You know the photos we have on the wall. And,
right. Yeah.
It's like 20 photos of in the whole wall. And,
okay.
Yeah. So I would probably say, that, and then my dad was always on the road. But if he was in town. There was this one moment, there was this one night he was like in town. I literally got to see him for like 5 minutes.
Okay.
It was like the best 5 minutes of my life because I didn't see my dad every day. So, different household, but in my life. And he was actually on tour with Stevie this particular time. And yeah, so I just remember like, ooh, this is amazing. Like the concert and walking into this concert hall. I can't remember where we were.
If this is in D.C., like around 1980,
yeah,
81.
Yeah.
Was he on tour with Gil Scott-Heron, or because I know that he did a series of shows in D.C. Mainly,
Gil might have been on that show.
So Gil wrote a book about his experience. So initially, the whole history of Master Blaster jamming is that Stevie was a big giant Bob Marley fan, and they decided in 1979 after like the Secret Life of Plants, sort of settled. Now it's Hotter Than July time, and him and Bob Marley going to go on tour together. And Bob had cancer complications and whatnot, and so then Gil Scott-Heron filled in for him. So, but I know he did a slew of a lot of shows in the DMV area, mainly to garner up support for King's birthday. So your father is Abdul
Wadud.
Okay,
the cellist. Yep.
Okay. Who else do you know who he played with or?
Julius Hempfield.
Okay.
A couple of different.
I know he played with David Murray also.
Yeah, different trios. Yeah.
Okay. Give me your fondest memory of growing up in DC, like a fuzzy, that's
probably just hearing like the go-go. Like go-go was always in the midst of things, but I wasn't outside, you know what I mean? Like, as I was outside as a kid, but like, I didn't jump off the porch. I didn't go to my first go-go till I was like maybe like 20, 21, 19, you know what I mean? So I didn't get the experience like going to the go-go at 15, 14, 16, 17,
All right, so I caught Rare Essence we happened to be in DC one night, and it was like a 3-show thing we were doing, and like we were there for 4 days, so we had like one of these nights off, and I realized I'd never been to a go-go show before, and I was like, all right, well, let me go to my first go-go experience, because my manager went to college in the DMV area, and you know, like we know everyone in the. You got to go to a go-go show.
Yeah.
And so the thing is that, and this is, I think this is definitely after the pandemic. So maybe like 2021.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so there's this new wave of go-go, like whatever trap and drill are to boom bap hip hop. Like it's a whole nother.
The bounce beat.
Yeah. It was a whole nother rhythm. And like, I didn't realize that the heartbeat of go-go, which, you know, not Laia hates when I say this because we always argue. I argue and say that, you know, go-go's based off of Grover Washington Jr.'s Mr. Magic. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
And I would say, where's that from, Laia? Anyway, so the whole point is they didn't play that bounce. Like I was like, wow, I never went to a go-go show in which just the prime rhythm of go-go was never played.
Yeah.
Like it was a whole nother, and I was like, oh, okay, so now there's a transition period where that rhythm
But they slowed it down.
way down.
Like a halftime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like can you, like, when did you go to your first go-go show?
Man,
and
my first go-go experience was Rare Essence. At the time, I was a writer at that period of my life, and Droopy, rest in peace, Droopy, and he had his hitter Sam. They took me to my first Rare Essence go-go experience. Miss Kim was in the band at the time.
Okay. Was Mickey there?
It was. I think Mickey was there at the time. They were taking me to meet White Boy, and to write for, you know, White Boy took a liking to me and my penmanship, and the goal was for me to write for Kim and write records for the band. But that was my first experience. I think it was we did the Black Hole.
Okay.
Maybe. Black Hole or the Tunnel, I can't remember what venue it was, but I just remember like going and instantly being like, I was turned out.
If you are a singer or a musician in the DC area, for you at least, was there ever a moment in which you thought, all right, let me join one of these bands or one of these groups, or was it always, nope, I want national? Can one make a good living as a go-go musician playing in the?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it was. You got to remember at this stage, it was already a national, global thing. You know what I mean? Because, you know.
But for the most part, I know that they stick to DC,
home. Yeah,
Maryland.
I mean,
maybe Virginia.
Yeah.
North
You
Carolina.
know, but like when you talk about the success of EU, you know, School Days and that whole movement I mean, on top bands making 7 figures, 6 figures a year, not having to leave the city or leave, you know, besides when you want to do a destination trip, or, you know, what's unique about the go-go community is that your super fans, they follow you. So you have go-go, you know, you have go-go Live in Miami. You got, you know, there are annual trips that have been happening for.
So they do come outside.
It's been. I mean, they have a go-go night in Japan. Like I went to my first time going to Japan as Raheem DeVaughn, the artist. We were coming in, and I ran into Sweet Cherie and Chuck Brown. Like Chuck was leaving Japan from playing and had been there maybe 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
Sold out every night. Like it's a phenomenon. You know, go-go, I would say go-go is equivalent to what, for DC, to what you know, Big Trombone Shorty is to
New Orleans.
New Orleans. You know what I mean? To see how, you know, some of these bands been together, you know, Rare Essence is what, 50 years in maybe? You know, Backyard Band with Big G. I think they got 30, 40 years in now. Like,
So as far as like music venues are concerned,
yeah.
like right now, would you say that DC is still strong in the game as far as having music outlets? Because the thing is that the reason why the Roots really existed, or at least to the fast lane that we got ushered in on, was that there were no music venues in Philly. So it was like,
Yeah, the creator.
let's go on the streets. Now, I meant, had the Roots come out 15, 20 years later, we would have probably been like, all right, let's get a YouTube page and do that. But, you know, we only played the streets and busked because there was no place to play. And only then people were like, you know, they did the whole thing like, well, you know, we're not into rap music, but we like you guys.
Yeah.
And we were suddenly like the first rap group to play like all these. If we were a rock band,
Y'all the hip hop Rolling Stones to me.
oh man, thank you.
Like straight up. Like
I
I
appreciate
like this is, you know, before the world knew my name, I was at the 930 Club in the front row at the Roots concerts.
I miss those gigs. man.
I remember the night where y'all came out with the, what was it, the Mr. Miyagi joints and like walked through the whole crowd. Like
the cowbells and stuff.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? So like the, you know, I was at the Black Lilies in the cut with nobody, you know, just you know, it's part of my story. I talk about it often, you know.
DC is our number one market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason why DC loves you guys so much is the connection of like live music and what go that you know, it's the live exchange of energy live. Like there's nothing like it. There's nothing like seeing your top go-go bands in DC or anywhere, right? And hearing the music is nothing like a Roots experience, you know?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Is there any unspoken pressures as a native there to represent go-go or?
Nah, not at all. I mean, you know, it's funny, man. You know, at half a century, I'm living out my childhood dreams,
Bucket list,
like my bucket list stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm, you know, from doing the Quiet Storm to I have a go-go band. It's called the Crank Crusaders.
Wait, I didn't know this.
Yeah. We do a first Sundays event at the Coma Station Tavern every first Sunday, unless I'm on the road, you know, on tour, and we'll kind of either navigate around it, take the month off, or you know, pick another Sunday, which we may be increasing the Sundays,
Right.
You know, but yeah, I've been in a go-go band. We've been, you know, shout out to Bootsy Vegas, Yazara, who. I know you know Yazara, who's on the front line.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like all the rest of the guys in the band, and it's been an experience. Like this band has actually been together since like 2019. You know, if you talk about principal members and going through different, you know, musicians, our big show was like 2019 at the Kennedy Center. It was Raheem, DeVaughn, and Backyard Band, right? New Year's Eve, and I used that as an opportunity to introduce the Crank Crusaders to DC, you know, and then boom, COVID hit. So that was the last we were still figuring out the records and creating, and we're building a catalog. Or we haven't put out an official album yet, which is in under the, in the works right now.
Right.
And we just lost one of our main producers. Rest in peace to ICANN. And, but from the minute I saw Rare Essence, I always wanted to be part of a go-go band, you know?
Okay, so, and I'm mainly I'm not even asking for an interview, like, because I'm so obsessed with that culture, but I wouldn't even know. I mean, again, I see it almost like as akin to jazz or another genre, where a lot of times, I mean, I've seen non-jazz cats. Like, okay, well, I can solo good, so let me. But there's a whole nother nuance that you have to know about that culture. And for go-go, at least, I know it's groove, it's format, it's cover songs, it's a lot of those things. So when you are
and it's letting the beat ride. Like
that's it. Like that's what I want to know. How do you know?
One of the main things I had to learn, and it's still a learning process for me. Like sometimes, like sometimes my band members, my frontline member, he gets pissed with me because me and Yazra, because he's like, there's I'm so used to being the conductor,
right,
and being the orchestrator and being the leader. What I do love about being part of the Crank Crusaders and being in this go-go band is like, the pressure's not on me to always lead, and it puts me in a position to follow, which makes me a student to have to learn. When we're in rehearsals, and we rehearse once a week. Like,
okay.
Literally, like you know what I mean? Like it's just a discipline, right? And so we're always experimenting with the different, whether it's bounce beat or, the first time I heard them saying like, all right, we're gonna do this record, and they would say, and Boosie's communicating with like the drummer. He's like, and they're saying, oh yeah, we're gonna do the Mr. Magic beat, or we're not gonna do the Mr. Magic. Like, let's do the Mr. Magic. I didn't get it. Now
right.
Hindsight 2020. Now I get it. So when you said it, I just kind of like chuckled. But
but it makes like, how do you, in other words, like, I'll listen to mixtapes and the leader won't say anything for like 32 bars and just let the beat ride.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, I'm not watching on videotape, but I'm just imagining, like, so what does the rest of the band do? They just...
What, you know what it is?
What?
It's to be in the room and the experience, because what you're probably hearing is a live... You got to remember, you're probably hearing a live recording, a.k.a. the PA tape.
Right.
Right? And what's happening in that moment is the walls are sweating. It's packed wall to wall. The ladies, are doing their thing. It's a party, man. It's a vibe. It's not just, you're hearing the after effect of a night that can't be duplicated. Think of it. I will compare it to like theater, theater or Broadway, right? Versus doing film and television, which I've done both, right? Theater is very improvisational. Like theater is very much read the room in the moment, because I remember us doing the Love Jones musical some years back, and literally a fight broke out because there was some guy there on a date with his wife. His lady came in. He was on a date. He was, you know what I mean? It was a situation.
Wait a minute.
And I think, and it was, so we're doing
at Love Jones,
and Light is, and so MC Light is doing a line, and we're doing our lines, and literally a fight breaks out or something, and it's just like it became and we turned it into a moment, because the show must go on in theater, Whereas when you're shooting, you're shooting television,
right?
Or a sitcom. Right, and you can, it's once theater, there's no cut. Like once the show starts, if somebody misses their cue, you have to, do the pickup line.
Got you.
In some cases, you have to give somebody their line.
Right.
Like
unless the person is backstage.
Yeah, it's totally improvisational. You know what I mean? And so back then, when they were doing, the PA tapes like real heavy, they're recording the show that night, and literally then that tape comes out, a few days later.
Right. What is your shout out game like? Because I know that any effective go-go vocalist has to know all the areas to shout out.
Again, I get to be a team member and not have to lead.
Oh, you don't have that pressure.
Yeah, so Boosie he's the lead talker of the band. So it's just his
I'm not good with shout outs.
His job is to conduct the band, communicate with us, lead us, read the room, know who's in the room. Sometimes you work the room before, in some cases before. You get to know your fans. I mean, I'm sure that you even if you don't know the names, I'm sure that with the super fan cult following based it, y'all have, it's people that y'all have been coming to see y'all for since the beginning. You know what I mean? There's no way you don't, unless you just in it for the wrong reasons, that you don't connect or know. And you have boundaries.
But sometimes that's hard though.
No doubt, because you have to have there are boundaries. fan is short for fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, but I watch like the communities, and all of these bands have different communities, which is, you have some of them where they share certain communities, right? But Backyard has a very distinct crowd that comes to see them, right? And they might come to see them 4 or 5 nights a week if that's what the vibe is. It's I never seen anything like it. You know what I mean? Other than, how I would describe, say like social media now or Instagram,
right?
And how we build these communities and people support them, and they can never get enough of what you put out.
For those that don't get access to the roots as much as we went from 200 nights on the year.
Yeah.
We do normal now. We would probably do maybe 50 shows a year.
Yeah.
Like a regular group. But a lot of these gigs we've been on the jam band circuit.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I know that go-go is black people's jam band circuit.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these, like, especially in the Northeast, like above Connecticut, above New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, and Maine and whatnot, Rhode Island, they have like a lot of these festivals, like hippie festivals, for jam bands all day long. And for me, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm trying to figure out, like, between New Orleans and DC, like, I'm wondering how come the two worlds have never collided to at least.
It's happening organically, and that's why.
And I want to join a go-go band.
Look, and that's why we myself and Bootsy. First of all, it's more personal for us. Bootsy was experiencing, he had a death date, like stage 4 cancer, and it was a phone conversation like, hey man, you beat the cancer, man, you gonna start a go-go band. And
nice.
He's been cancer free for some years now, and he was like, I remember when he rang the bell, and I'm like, all right, well, time to start the band, figure out what we're gonna name it. And here we are, the Crank Crusaders. So
I will make a note to see this. I can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what was the first live show that you ever attended?
Okay. How old I was, but it was New Year's Eve.
Okay.
Whitney Houston.
Oh. That's impressive.
Wait, was Whitney there? Did she perform? I feel like she performed. I can't remember if she was on a ticket, but Bobby was there. I think maybe it was a New Edition.
Okay.
I can't remember, but I know it was Whitney, Bobby.
Well, wait, it became an item in '91. Well, you were like 20 when you saw your first concert?
So it had, this is like, maybe they weren't a thing then.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But it was like, I can't remember that.
Well, you live in DC, which is also like
I was definitely a teenager though.
Okay.
I was in high school because I remember Miss Pat was the one that took us to see this particular concert.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was like the neighborhood mom.
What was the impact of you seeing this concert?
Just, I mean, you see, it's one thing to, I guess, hear the music live and hear the records and and sing them in the shower, and there's another thing like to see the artist. So the only thing I probably could have wished for was better seats, but like,
gotcha.
You ain't tripping off that as a kid. You're like at the concert, you know what I mean?
Just happy to be there.
Yeah.
I always ask, what television show or movie would you say best describes what your childhood experiences were like growing up?
I don't know, man. I can't say that there was one.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. There's no character that you wish you were like watching TV or any of those things?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I would probably say Good Times because I spent, the school years with my mom.
Mm-hmm. Did your dad live in the DMV as well?
My dad was in Jersey, in Newark, New Jersey. Between East Orange and Newark. So
what part? I was like, what part?
But when he was in Newark,
okay.
So it's kind of like, I guess you could say middle class, and then but I would go spend time with Dad, and then I would end up in Baxton Terrace Projects. So I got a chance to see which was like walking distance from the Colonnades, where when he moved back into Newark, I spent a lot of time. Even when he lived in East Orange, I spent a lot of time with my cousins. And, and that's in the housing projects. Yeah. So I saw that whole crack era. I saw, Light. You know what I mean, in '88, or I would see, you see different rappers and Kane, Kane and back there, coming through, you know what I mean, and but I saw my first shootouts there, as a kid, you know what I mean, but most importantly, I saw a lot of love, like in those housing projects. I saw a lot of love. I saw family, and it's something I just always look forward to. I mean, I played basketball on a regular basketball court, but when I was there, we played the hoops on the crates.
The crates,
on the crates. They tried to take the crates,
and burn either the crate or
cut the bottom out, rope them up real good.
I'm a crate master.
Yeah, you're Michael Jordan at that point.
Can you name me 3 albums that changed your life?
Quincy Jones. Was Quincy Jones' album Save the Children?
Which album?
Did they have an album called? Was that Marvin's album or Quincy's Save the Children?
All right, so Save the Children was and it's funny you mention this.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the world knows about it. For all of you that have shown me love for Summer of Soul, there's a film that was directed by Sanai's father, Stan Lathan. And it's called Save the Children. And it's basically Jesse Jackson's Operation Push Expo in Chicago. This is 1972. And pretty much all the luminaries were there. The Jackson 5, Marvin Gaye. There's a very curious moment where, times haven't changed much. Sammy Davis Jr. decided, I guess the mind state, and James Brown did the same thing. Like, they were coming from the mind state of like, okay, well, we're trying to get a seat at the table. So let me endorse Nixon so that way I can
became a thing.
I can have influence on him. And, their intentions were good, but it's also like, clearly that was just for the other side, it was for the photo op. And like,
that's when they went to label him the Uncle Tom.
Right, exactly. Sammy Davis Jr. shows up. And I'm telling you, that was the most. I mean, the way he ate that bullet, like I admired him for it. That was the hardest 7 minutes to watch. He walked on that stage, and the Jackson 5 just came off, and they all losing and everything.
Yeah,
and so and then
I remember that, and he's like, he let it calm down, and then he
spoke, and then he sang the most defiant version of "I Gotta Be Me."
Yeah,
and. It kind of went from this to like he really sold it. But yeah, Save the Children was it was on Motown. So that's it was a great live record.
Yeah, so I would say Save the Children, Michael Jackson Thriller album, and a Two-Way Tie, self-titled Earth, Wind and Fire album.
Okay.
And I wasn't supposed to be listening to it, but Prince Purple Rain.
It's Darling Nikki.
I was just drawn to to the movie, to the film, to the there were things that were going on that I was seeing as a child that I could identify to, that he was going through as a it was just everything to me,
So, as far as singers are concerned, who would you say, who's your North Star? Who is the singer for which I want to know the moment that it was like the calling of, this is what I want to do.
Three-way tie, Marvin, Prince, and Michael Jackson. Like right around that 1984, 85.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember seeing the award show and just like definitely Michael, and seeing him on
when American Music.
And like that's when I got the bug. Like,
Got you.
I want to do that. Like, I remember where I was,
Right.
what I had on. You know what I mean? And that's where I caught the bug.
All right. So this is what I'm curious about. So, my early friendship with D'Angelo was based on the trauma that we had over Marvin Gaye. So, before April 1st of '84, I pretty much, I lived in a very large record house, and Dad's records was just old people stuff, and my records was the cool stuff. And so I always looked at Marvin kind of with an eye roll, like, it's old people. Like, aunt comes over and starts playing the OJs and Marvin Gaye and stuff, and I'm just like, ugh. And when he passed away, when he was murdered by his dad in '84, that gave me nightmare effects, because I was 12 at the time, and I'm trying to wrestle with the fact that, like, wait, your father's allowed to kill you? Like, I didn't learn about that part.
I was heartbroken. I remember it distinctly. I want to take. I want to.
No. But go ahead. But I want to know, what was it about? Because when I finally came to Marvin, there was a lot of fear there. And for you though, like, what was for D? Also, he has a very distinctive memory of maybe 4 days after that happening, and Marvin came to him in a dream and kind of touched him on the shoulder and didn't say anything, but like D'Angelo knew at age of 10 that he had just been anointed or whatever, and literally that sort of kickstarts this thing in his head where it's like, I have a mission in life to, like, someone anointed me. But like, how did you come to Marvin? Like, was there any fear or knowledge of like what happened to his life? Or
absolutely. Again, parallel things that I saw, in 1 degree separation in my family that I've experienced as an adult now, from childhood into adulthood. But I just revered him. I thought it was just so brilliant how he could go from the bedroom to speaking as a social activist, musically. That's why I always I was drawn to him. I was drawn to Bob Marley for the same reason, knowing that he started out as a top 40 artist and then transitioning into strictly socially conscious music. It's something that early in my career that I just prided myself in doing, saying that that's what I had to do that, Right. I remember the night that Marvin Gaye passed. I remember the night that Melvin Lindsay announced it. I remember being heartbroken. I remember the red Fiat that I rode in with my mother. We were just leaving the movie theaters. I can't remember what we saw.
Right. But
coming out of the movie, it was an eerie night. It had rained. It had just finished raining, so there was a light rain, and it was just like hearing Melvin Lindsay say it on the airwaves. Like, I'll never forget it. Like, and during COVID, they'll kind of give you an exclusive here, Amir. During COVID, me and Kenny Dope Gonzalez came up with the craziest idea to remake an entire Marvin Gaye album, which will be coming out.
Which one did you choose?
I want to say yet, but we have remade an entire Marvin Gaye album.
Okay.
I sang all the vocals over. This was during COVID, so this was my first time. So imagine COVID going on and then taking your first ride to the studio and being outside and getting gas and like being
living in the apocalypse.
Yeah, like being super annoyed about what you're touching, and then going and being around other
sit down.
And other human people, and like
a cough is like a gun.
Yeah, I remember. I remember.
Sneeze like a Uzi.
Like my first interaction and I hugged someone, and then being like, it was intense. You know what I mean? Shout out to Raquel Rob Brown. That she came to the studio and it was like, we're not supposed to hug.
Right.
but I remember like a freedom in like in doing that, right? And yeah, so over the course of a few days, it was deep, man, to remake these records and because we didn't have all the masters, we didn't have everything's not split up, but there's a lot of masters and things floating around out there. So
yes,
Kenny gave me what he had access to, and then I had
Kenny's the master.
Yeah, and then I had to do all of these things. I had to do this shit off the air. You know what I mean? And in that process of recording it, it was like, wow, like I felt like, I said I would never say this publicly, but I felt like it was left behind for me to do it. Like in a moment, it was like really like eerie, And
what did you learn about that process? So even in listening to some of the reels that I got, probably the best example, I don't know if you have access to any of the Hear My Dear reels, but we acknowledge that Marvin's like some will say the background master. I will actually say he's the master at hiding in plain sight.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you listen to, if you ever get a chance to hear first song on side 3, if you ever get a chance to listen to Sparrow, a cappella, once you take the music away, I'm like, wait, this clashes. But he has a very unique way.
His timing is crazy.
Yeah, like it's correct.
Like his timing was great. Like I have no formal training, right?
Right.
And I remember I did it was a record I did in particular with Frederico from DC. I won't butcher Frederico's last name, but it's this record we did, and after we did it, he's like, it's called Never Neverland, right? Okay. And he says to me like, yo, how did you do what you did on this record? He was like, the way he was explaining it was like scientifically or like musically, as it relates to like musical theory, it ain't supposed to be able to be done or feel like the way it feels.
Right.
Like the timing and just like my choice of where I laid the vocal and what I heard over top of it. And I thought I was the shit until I set out to remake these songs.
Right.
And like start listening to the timing and wanting to honor, still making it mine. You know what I mean? And breathing life into it, right? In hopes that, it'll be received how that was received. But it just, man, the timing, and then the relevancy, more importantly, of where they've been, meaning, our parents and our grandparents, and where we are now, and at the stage we were when I we made these songs, right. At the stage of where we were when I set out to do my version of a socially conscious record, and like Bulletproof, and how I fought for that. I think that there are certain things that are there are certain records that are out there that shouldn't be touched, and then I think that there are certain things that are like left behind for us to make sure that we breathe life into them, so that it's never erased from history.
When do you think the project will be finished?
The project is finished.
It's waiting for the right time.
It's going to be coming out on BBE.
Okay.
And I'm in talks about some visual stuff. With Cootie and Chike. You know what I mean? So
on the low, you're the king of the visual rollout, by the way.
Really, Dang? What
was the journey that led to you getting a record deal on Jive, like getting inside the system?
So I was man, where do I start? I always wanted to be a artist. I always found myself wanting to be part of things.
Right.
So I did different groups and things I was part of. Day Swing, All in the Mind was the first group. All in the Mind was the first group that was kind of formed out of like Coppin State University. So we're taking you back to like 1993 and like going to Coppin in 93, summer of 93.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to High Point in Beltsville, Maryland.
You're the first DC person I know with talent that didn't say Duke Ellington.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't.
Did you want to go there, or like were you pursuing music in high school?
Nah, I totally didn't.
Wait, you didn't have... When did you realize you had a voice?
I realized I had a voice in elementary school, but I was, you know, there was other things going on. Life was life, and I was very shy, you know, standoffish, and I mean, of course, like once I'm like, man, if I know what I know now, and I would have been singing in high school, and
so no church, no
little church background,
okay,
but definitely had the voice. I remember distinctly being, it was like 6th grade, Calvinton Elementary. Don't remember the music teacher's name, but we were having one-on-one. She was going up the scales, and she just was like, "Yo, your voice, you're special. You're gonna do something one day."
Mm-hmm. But did your family know you had this voice?
Nah. When I told my dad and my mom, you know, first year college that I'm dropping out after 3 semesters, they was like, "You doing what? Like what? Like you gonna do music?
Yo, do we have the same story?
Like you gonna do what?" Like I mean, it was a whole thing. Like I couldn't, you know, it was a whole thing, you know?
Dude.
The only I retreated to grandma's.
Oh, grandma's always there for you.
Grandma's gonna, God bless her soul. But that you know, I didn't, and then I slept on some couches too, because you know I outgrew grandma's. You know what I mean?
Right. This audience knows that the inside joke is my dad didn't know about the Roots until our second album. Wow. Do you want more? Because look, my dad was like a singer.
Yeah.
I think we've had the same.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy that we're just chopping it up now after like being in circles, but. Yeah, like it.
So I drop out in the process of like being there the 3 years. I befriend people in, because I was going to Coppin State, so I'm in Baltimore City. So I'm like Warwick and Baker. I'm like spending time like a couple of blocks down from the school, and I had a buddy that rapped, and we would do. We didn't have like, we had the makeshift studio. We doing the tricks with the tapes and just all the things. And drop out, move back to grandma's in Hyattsville. Always was a kid though in high school that would read the credits and stuff. So I'm singing around the house and that type of thing. So I'm, you know, and was a huge fan of Chucky Thompson. Like I like, and then when I found out he was from DC, I'm like, I gotta find him, right?
All right.
And end up infiltrating Chuck life. You know, there was some girls I used to hang out with that went to Howard University. They went to Howard.
Shout out to McDonald's.
Right. They had a crib. At this time, Badu's album just hits. Right.
So like 97.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So her album just hits. That's like the whole like. So I get to hang out I'm kind of hanging out this crib. You know, one of the girls happens to work as an intern at Chuck Life.
Okay.
At Chucky's studio, which he has in Southeast at the time. And I get over there one day and never left. Guru was there at the time, Young Guru.
Young Guru? Okay.
Young Guru was there, kind of, you know, Tracy Lee's popping.
Okay. Nonchalant as well, right?
Nonchalant. Early in my, you know, songwriting career, and like Nam was one of those people who took an interest in me. I used to roll with Nam like heavy. Shout out to Nonchalant.
Shout out.
We just kind of just like we like reached out recently on like social media, but she was just like somebody that was just like always in my corner and would pick me up and drop me off, and if she had access to studios, let me come in there and record, and you know, and I just. But I was over there where Chucky was at, and just engulfed myself in that situation.
How were you trying to enter the game as a songwriter, as a singer?
As a songwriter, always as a songwriter first, to then get in there as the singer, right?
Gotcha.
always part of different little quirky groups and things. And then I went to a place called Bar None one night.
Okay.
And Bar None changed my life because that's where I started to go in. Bar None was our version of Black Lily, but it happened like once a week.
Okay.
Right. And Bar None, you know, the night was ran, the list was ran by Raquel Rob Brown, who's a poet, who I, you know, reconnected with. She's actually from Philly, and I reconnected with her a few years back, and she's, you know, to say, hey, like, you need to do your first album, and, you know, she's often doing her thing now, right? And yeah, so I do Bar None. I end up winning this contest. In the process, I become part of a group called Urban Ave 31, which was like, that was my first official album. It's a project out called The Healing. Okay. That you can find. And then we did a follow-up project called The Antidote. I connect with Hilton Felton's son, W. Ellington Felton. You know, Wes, as some of us call him. Dub L, he has many attributes. We form a group called The Crossroads. So now I'm in like 2 groups. In DC, I'm in the Urban Ave 31 is like a fusion of, it's like DC Wu-Tang kind of vibes. Okay. But very social, like high level, socially conscious. It's like a fusion of like Dead Prez, Wu-Tang, and I'm like the only singer. Okay. And these guys, which is some of the members of that group, they went on to be shout out to YU
Diamond District. Okay.
Yeah, so you know, he was one of the original members of, you know, they had a whole crew called the Remains. Got it. Super talented, man. It's just you know, we didn't have the outlets in the city. Bar None is another place where I met two guys pulled up on me one night by the name of Kev Brown and Cy Young.
Legendary Kev Brown.
So Kev Brown and Cy Young pulled me to the side and say, hey, we want to take you to Philly to meet DJ Jazzy Jeff.
That's how you made it.
Now, prior to that, when I got so engulfed in the open mic scene, I would do Bar None on Monday nights. I would do Warm Wednesdays in Baltimore. And then I found out about Black Lily, so I'd come to Black Lily because I feel like Black Lily was like once a month, or I could only get out there once a month.
No, we were weekly.
Yeah, but it was something that it was like.
Well, there was a New York one and a Philly one.
I was coming to the Philly one
at the 5 spot. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, oh man, it was like hazing.
Okay, so I want your perspective. I'm glad you're saying this.
Yes,
because you know, there's two faces of Black Lily. Pre Things Fall Apart, Black Lily, which was basically in my crib. And yeah, pretty much everyone in that room eventually got a record deal. Like, you know, Jasmine was like 9 years old. What the hell is this 9-year-old doing in my crib? Yeah. And you know, by the time Malik started bringing beans and them around, like motherfuckers burning BDs on my couch and whatever, and beer on the floor, whatever, like I was like, get out. So then that's how once it came to this 5 spot, we had to go on tour and just basically fund it. But, you know, occasionally, if we're home or whatever, come up, play a song or two, whatever, just to, you know, keep up appearances. But, I mean, for the outsider coming in, is this like a game of double dutch in which you're trying to figure out
it was like
how to get on that stage?
It was Game of Thrones.
Okay, tell me everything.
It was
how cutthroat is.
Oh man, it was just like, first of all, it's very intimidating to be out of your element, right? Okay. So I'm coming up. I'm like jumping on the Amtrak, hiding in the restroom to get.
Everyone hides in the restroom.
Yeah, I mean that was the shit, man. That's how he did it. You know, you did what you had to do, right? Okay. And then, you know, finding my, you know, I'm out of my element. I'm in Philadelphia, like you know what I mean. But I found the spot. This nostalgic spot. Then the getting in, and just the vibe. But like, I think I might have got on the mic once or twice, but it would be like at the end, people walking out.
John Legend tells me the same story.
Like, who are you?
Right.
Like, but it was, every time I went, it was like something nostalgic happening. And it was like, and then if you're lucky, I come on a night like you're there, or like some of the guys from the band are actually there, or like I remember hearing Jasmine there for the first time. I want to say like she was like, how did she even get in the club?
She was not her. She used to sleep in the back of the car. With her dad. And when it's time for her to do her 3 songs, they go up in the back.
How does this? Who is this little girl, and how is she? Who ends up being my label mate later on Jive Records, and like I knew her mom, her first manager. Like it was just dope. Like I remember seeing Kendrick there for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of talent, and again, I was one of those guys that was like reading the credits. I was a Roots fan anyway, so I'm like. So it was just it was a vibe, So
when you're there, are you like, who do I connect with to get to the next level?
I'm totally just trying to figure it out.
It was a meat market because literally, I mean, there was once it really started to catch on, like it started getting ridiculous. Where like one night, like Janet would come with her musical director,
and
then we come back the next week and like, oh, 7 musicians aren't here, and then someone else comes, and they take 3 musicians. And Mary J. Blige, like literally start becoming like almost a market.
So what ended up happening was, because I had the Urban Ave 31 thing going on, that started to kind of like really, thanks to D Chase, it started getting popping and moving around doing colleges. My in for Philly was Jen Bragg. Was Jen and what's the brother? Her part. They used to do a lot of parties. It was Jen and oh man, God forgive me for giving a name. But that's that's where I started to kind of like learn like Philly. You know what I mean? And
because actually I thought you were from Philly.
Nah, that's what I did it. Look, I was going to Philly and Baltimore, and like I said, I was doing that circuit so much. Mondays bar none, Wednesdays in Baltimore and Philly, that people started to think that I was from Philly. People thought that I lived in Baltimore. But when I met Kev Brown and Cy Young that night, and they took me to Jeff Morpheus.
Jeff is Morpheus.
Professor X.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
He is Morpheus.
Like that's where it all opened up. You know what I mean? That's where he had the studio off of 4th Street and all the rooms going. That's where I met Eric Roberson for the first time. He has this story he tells where he feels like I was writing the songs with the 2 pens, but I didn't use a pen. I was just doing everything off the brain, and it was like a kid. It's just a kid in a candy store. At that point, I'm not writing. I haven't physically sat down and written a song, pen to paper in decades.
That's literally was my next question. I was like, what is your songwriting process?
Yeah,
you just have to sit there and channel it.
It's improvisational. Like I sit there and and it's having a great engineer. Shout out to Face. I prefer to like record one place, or I've grown into the understanding like the vibe is in you. You should be able to, if you have people that are there in the room that are professional and know what to do, the vibe is in you. So I'll meet an engineer in LA and be like, and say like, okay, like he reminds me of my engineer, and we'll lock in. And then when I need to do things in LA, I'm known for recording after concerts and going to the studio and vibing out, right? And but yeah, my process is very improvisational. I would describe it as like it's like a download. It doesn't necessarily come. I've heard Al Green, I think, describe it the same way, where it doesn't come from me but through me, and I
channels.
I channel. I honor it. Every time to borrow a quote from Eric Roberson, I know that every time I write a song, I know that God is real. Is this the Creator is a real thing, and it makes you really want to respect the gift even more so, to make sure that you use it for the right reasons. So
there's I forget what song that Stevie Wonder's doing. But because he doesn't traditionally write lyrics down or whatever, usually when he's tracking, so if you listen to like some of those reels or whatever, he'll get to the end of the song, and then it's always like, "Oh, Gary, keep the tape rolling," and he'll just sit there and he'll be on the roads, and then suddenly you'll hear things like. You got a bad girl.
Another,
okay, you got that real quick.
Another one comes to him.
You at the end of you always hear like a sparkling like keep the tape on. I got an idea.
Yeah.
Like and it's but I admire that process more than anything because and I do think that writing on the spot is probably the most honest way to channel what you feel. So you'll say that like 80-90% or of the time it's
99%. You know,
what if you're in a collaborative
and there've been records where I've like there's records where different stages of my career where somebody delivered me a record like a neo record that I love and I'm
traditional
I'm like I want to cut this, you know what I mean,
right?
But and even then like they're not there, so I got to do it off the ear and figure it out.
That said, because I think anyone else would have just chosen the number 10. So how hard was it to construct the 20 lessons of love then?
What, in terms of?
Well, I mean, because the thing is that you're giving 20 lessons of love, but
it was just
a concept thing.
So 20 lessons of love came about, shout out to my business partner, Tone Walters. We were back and forth talking and, I know Tone a long time. Groove Gumbo is where we first like met, right?
Mm-hmm.
And bouncing ideas for the tour. And he said, I said, at this point, I'm like, I'm at a stage in my life where I like input and I've realized you can't do it all and figure out everything, right? So he's like, 20 lessons of love. And I was like, I love that. Because, it was coming off the 20-year anniversary of the Love Experience.
Yes.
And I said, the only thing is missing is there's no record. Like, I got to do that record. That's an ill record right there. And that's how it happens. Once that happens, I'm hell bent on getting it done. So I immediately called my man KP from the Colleagues, who's in Atlanta, and said, hey, I want it to feel like this. I want to honor, I feel like the 90s, for R&B was one of the best eras ever. Maybe it's just because that's where I feel like that birthed me, it raised me, in so many ways, right? And I told him what I wanted it to feel like, and he sent me the track, and we communicate well together musically. So he sends me the track, and like once he sent it, I went to the studio and it really came out. I probably cut that record in like 3-4 hours, and then like revisit it. You know what I mean? And then I'll be on to the next thing, or I'm definitely in a space of like being a perfectionist at what I do now, where I can walk away from it and go back to it and hear it, and and try different things, and ask myself what's missing or what's too much, right?
Are you good at editing?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's where I'm weak. I gotta have everything but the kitchen sink. And it's so dense.
Yeah. So and just and just understanding sound and and where I am where I've grown and continue to grow as a vocalist and as a writer. You know what I mean? But even like back when I was working, when I really started locking in with Jeff, before the deal at Jive, that's where it was. I just realized that how important time is, and it's nothing. There's no worse feeling than being an artist and wanting to be in the studio and knowing you have to leave because your time is up, right? You know what I mean? Like that right there. So I always told myself and had it in my mind that like whenever the opportunity presents itself that doesn't have to be like that I'll just be in there as much as I want. And, so by the time, when I got to deal with Jive Records back in 2002, you like how I did that, right? I'm just finishing answering your question. When I got,
we just two bros having a conversation.
When, so when I got the deal back in 2002, I had so much going on. Urban Ap 31, the Crossroads with Wes Felton. At that stage, The Magnificent had already came out. At that stage, I had, from meeting Jazzy Jeff, I met Kenny and Louie for the first time. We were working on V's album at the time. You know what I mean? Jeff sent me out on a mission to go work with Kenny to write a record for V. It was like a house record that I had did, and went to just make, just kind of produce the vocal on it. And then I'm like working with V, and I'm like, man, V don't need me to do nothing for him.
Right.
V this is dope.
Yeah.
Right. And Kenny, that's my big bro. Like we got.
What's it like working with Kenny? He's so legendary, man.
Kenny and his guys at the time, Diego and them. Kenny was the first person to show me my worth and value.
Okay.
As an artist, and like where I went to go, I went out there to go do the thing that Jeff sent me out there to do, and then he was like blown away and was just like, yo, you just did that on the top of your head, and da. And then he was like, yo, he pulled up some stuff and was like, yo, I think it was kind of like, let me see what you do with this. And it was like, oh. And I was like, boom. And I was like, you got another one? And then, you know what I mean? And then I started to go back and forth and do things. And the thing I did for him, I can't remember what it was, but he was like, yo, what how much you need for this or whatever. And I probably was like, give me like 200-300 or whatever. And Kenny was like, nah, B. He was like, and he sat me down, and then like I feel like it was like maybe 3, 4, 5 bands.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't never seen that, and I never had nobody like sit me down and like
let you
and
know.
It wasn't like I'm giving you 3, 4 bands and I'm finna take advantage of you, or
right.
Hey, along with this 3, 4 bands, I need you to sign this paperwork right here, and then they taking half of your publishing, and just like it was just never no weird business. It was just like big homie brotherhood, love. And the same thing with Jeff, you know what I mean? And while I got all this going on, I still got managers down in that. While all this is going on, I have already been on the road and left and quit from working with Genuine. Genuine was my first introduction to the industry in terms of superstar status. Like, and this is
songwriting with them or singing background?
Nah, this is singing background.
Okay.
Which he had. I met Cliff and Jerry. So, because I was still in DC and I still was doing things. I still was working, on wanting to be that independent artist, but just always part of different things. I just had multiple things going on. And
so what was that like in your version of 20 Feet from Stardom?
So
what are you learning?
So I got these managers is in my ear who I'm loyal to at this point, and they're actively shopping a record deal for me with these records that I've done with, some of these records I've done with Jeff, right? Records I've done with them, right? Stuff I've done with Kenny, right? And but they're also kind of like probably on pins and needles because they've had other artists that they've worked with who are not loyal like I am.
Got you.
You know what I mean? So I'm going like. So I think I probably, maybe every time I go to Philly or New York, they don't know if I'm going to, it gets a little convoluted. I got all this going on, and what are you doing with the, you doing the head wrap stuff over here with the Urban App 31 and the, Heaven Help Us All. And
okay, do singers, for us it's always the backpack versus the commercial.
And my thing is like I do it all. I had to figure it out.
Or are they looking down on head wrap? Like
I'm gonna say they're looking down on it. It's just it's that era where that's where I think me and Wes with the Crossroads was made us so unique is that. We would come up with different terms, jiggy conscious, or, you know what I mean? Okay. It's like, I'm like, why can't I have my beads on and my Rolex that my mama gave me? You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
Like, why can't I have a love for R&B the same way that I do for soul music, right? Or rock. And, when you listen to my first album, it's a fusion of a lot of different things. And I knew that just kind of fast forwarding, I knew that the love experience could be received a lot of different ways, and it could be confusing. And that's where really the R&B hippie neo soul rock star title came from. When people, I came up with that because I knew that if I didn't know if I couldn't explain it or formulate it into words, And I didn't just want to be like neo soul. Like I knew where that came from, and it was nothing wrong with that, right? But I knew that was like, I come from an era of like, and grew up like where you don't bite somebody's titles or you know what I'm saying, phrases, you know, and or sound, right? So, you know, I feel like that was an era. I feel like there was a time period where that started. I'm not gonna say who I feel like started that, but it. That was it. But it was, you know, it became an era where on one end, and I sample things too. So I love sampling, right? But there's nothing more dope and original than like original music.
Gotcha.
Right? So I was drawn to both, right? So I figured out a way to fuse the two. So being on the road with like Genuine, which is more like a conventional R&B, but also futuristic. You gotta remember G's first 2-3 albums, like he was part of a movement that changed music sonically. Yeah. That don't happen every day.
Right.
That don't happen every decade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that whole Missy player, you know what I mean? So I was in the best of both worlds. Because I get to be kind of like underneath that, you know, and watch how that and experience that and sing the songs that you know that I loved singing, and you know that I was a Genuine fan when I got the gig. Right. You know, and you know he don't get the credit and the roses in his prime, and I think he was like,
he should be good.
Yeah, all them cats was like wanted to be G, or if they never said it or whatever, but like before there was a Chris Brown, before there was, you know, and while there was this, they were like, but G was like that guy. Like I was there before Differences, I was there after, I was there, you know, before he met Soleil, after, like on tour with him with Janet Jackson and Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. Like, what's bigger at the time?
What was that like?
Oh, it was crazy.
Really?
It was crazy. Like it was like it let me know that I had to quit because I had to make a decision because I would you know, either, you know, when you know, people give their lives to artists. You know what I mean? Like, you know, a lot of times we don't always look at the fact of the people who helped to help shape it.
Right.
Right. And so although I enjoyed that and I loved that, I remember distinctly like the last gig I did was in Vegas, and I made a decision on that ride back that like I wanted more. I knew that it was outside. There was something out there. There was a driving force that still was out there for me.
A lot of people would get stuck with the comfort I'm making a good living. And
so I was actively, you know, always coming back and forth to New York and doing showcases and things like that. And Cliff Jones, Jerry Vine, shout out to Cliff and Jerry. Cliff was shopping songs and shopping artists. He went into Jive Records to shop a totally different artist that he was hell bent on getting the record deal for, and played a couple of my records, and they were like, "What's that? Go back to that. Who's that? Whatever." And then, you know, they started doing their homework, and you know, I had a buzz, and they said they wanted me to come to Jive Records to do a showcase, which was supposed to be for 15 minutes, and it ended up being like an hour and a half that I performed. And
yikes.
This is right after like the whole, you know, R. Kelly and the Olympics and the tape, and you know what I mean, and just kind of like
Barry there,
kind of like Tom. Barry was Barry there? No, Barry was the only one who wasn't there. Okay. Barry Weiss wasn't there, but everybody, Peter Thiel, Barry might have.
But no, I don't mean physically there. Was he still?
Oh yeah,
helming?
No, Barry was in. Oh yeah,
okay,
yeah. So I remember feeling like, though, in the process, you know, this was Jeff's old label though, and I feel like I was concerned about it like fucking up the relationship. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot of respect for him. But what I don't think he knew was that he had equipped me to kind of go in there to know what I needed to do. So I already knew I was going to be there for a good time, not a long time.
Gotcha.
Right? And, you know, hindsight 2020, I was only I did my first deal in 2002. The album came out in 2005. That right there, that 3-year span showed me everything I needed to see to know, okay, because you get the deal and then you get in the building and then you realize like, oh,
then it starts.
This is just the start.
What's the most important lesson you learned during that 3-year gap? Well, okay, let me actually set it up. Was it once you got the deal, once you knew you were getting a deal, how long was it before you realized, okay, now this shit is real? Because there was a point where, for us, we got our advance and started acting in full, and then we were broke.
I got the advance, and I ain't tell nobody. I first move I made, somebody put me on the Terry Reid, and I got with Tim, and I put the money up or whatever. But what I would do though is, I would always go to the I had that club, like going to the club and like. And you know what I mean? Started dibble and dabble in bottle service. And
how fast were you broke then?
Oh man, it didn't get because I did have some put up.
Okay,
like I was able to hold on to what I got for the couple of years, but it was I had a little green Camry, 96 Camry that I bought. I didn't realize like back then I had the financial literacy, so I didn't know about
I was broke
the taxes and all, and like or to get the car like they like. I remember Cliff and Jerry telling me like, man, you can't be riding around here and you gotta look the part, you know what I'm saying? And that's when I went and got like a truck, like when I got my first my Avalanche. But like that 3-year span though, went through 2 mergers and 1 selling of the company. You know what I mean? So just that, boom, that happens right after I do the deal. So you don't even know. So you hear the whispers, but you don't know if you're gonna stay. You don't know if you're gonna even stay. You know what I'm saying? And if you got a management or a team that's like keeping it funky with you, they gonna let you, so which they did, and they let me know, and then they had a split, the managers had a split, and I, like right after, you know what I mean, like I had to just choose a side, I had to pick a side, which I never been in that situation before. It's just a lot of things, learning about loyalty, being paranoid about the money and not. And how it can change you or change the people around you. It was like bet on you, and that's where I started doing the mixtapes. You know what I mean? And I was the first singer, soul R&B singer to make mixtapes, and I did that because of.
That's what I meant by the rollout.
Coming back to New York, coming back and forth from New York, seeing what 50 was doing with G Unit, right, and that's where I got the whole blueprint. Watching 50 with G Unit and watching Mike Jones, and I had, and the mixtapes is what and getting them out to the DJs, and then got the burning the tapes and selling them out the trunk and out the North Face in the winter and going in the club. It was a period of time I go in the club and like, you got Gilbert's Arenas getting a couple and throwing me a stack real quick. You got I leave the club with like a dope man, like the dope man with $500,000-$600,000, like in a half an hour. I just post up at the bar. Hey, you got that volume 1? You got that volume 2? It was I didn't realize what I was doing at the time, but I was creating my own destiny. I was creating ownership.
Yeah,
I was doing street team promo. I didn't realize that I was providing. It was like merch in its own cool way. But I learned that. I mean, I learned that from like Bar None and like my guy Wes Felton. You know what I mean? And seeing him have something that was I realized early from doing open mics, people want to take you home with them. Have something that people that's tangible.
So that leads me to how, like at the time when I was on a major, like I would have nightmares about us getting dropped and I'm not going back home to my mama crib, that whole thing. Which I'll say that a lot of that sort of just the fear of getting dropped back when you just had one thing to do, which now I have options. So like I'm now creating from my heart and not from out of fear. How liberating did it feel, or how frightening was it once you were without the backing of a major, and now you're deciding I'm gonna do this on my own as an independent?
That started in 2010, and it was cool. It was never no fear factor. It was the fact that at that stage I already knew I had built something. I had already built something prior to getting signed to Jive. Yeah,
right.
Like, you know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, I guess that's why I work the way that I work now. I never want to go back to that. That fear, like, it still lingers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, especially if you don't have like the financial literacy and to know, you know, it's one thing to make the money. It's another thing to know how to, you know, be able to touch it when you need it. And then, you know, wise manager once told me, you know, when you make the decision based upon money, you're gonna always make the wrong decision typically, you know?
Got you.
You know, so but yeah, I feel like at that point I had the matrix figured out. I got out of I didn't get dropped. I got out of the deal because they didn't want to honor the next period that I would have been going into, which would have been a seven-figure period. You know, if you talk about the advance and then the promo budget and the album budget and all the things, and I distinctly remember Peter Thea sitting me down and saying like, "Hey, like we're not selling the records we used to sell anymore. If we had got our hands on you 5 years prior to when we did, you would be huge. You would be a household name more than what you are now. Like you would be huge. But the reality is people ain't buying records like they used to. The business model is changing. I know we're supposed to give you this and do this, but do you think you could do an album with 300,000? And I'm sitting across from him like, absolutely, I could do that. You know, I could probably just might do the whole album for 20 bands or 50 bands, and then use a portion of it to get the radio record going, and you know what I mean, and all the things. But it was like, nah, I want what y'all supposed to give me though.
Right.
Like, right. And it was just a thing like, well, we can't do that, so we'll give you to December 31st of 2009 to decide. And I think I told them like, I'll give you to December 31st to decide, and if it don't play out, then I'll go my separate way. And they gave me a release, and you know what I mean. And I think the biggest lesson in that was not being prepared and not having a plan. Like, what's gonna be my plan? So I was kind of like dormant for 3 years. I started doing what was a podcast before it was called the podcast, where I did the Raheem DeVaughn show every Sunday, and that like blew up. But the business wasn't right on that, and in terms of the monetization of it for me. But I sat down with everybody from Kendrick Lamar to T.I. to Boney James to, you know, Marsha came through, Spike Lee. I mean, like it was an incredible time. And so now when I see like the podcasting, and I'm like, wow, man, I've been a blueprint for a lot, and I didn't understand it. It didn't click until after I left one of those Jazzy Jeff secret retreats.
Yes.
One of the playlists, you know.
Yes.
I was like an early playlist attender, and he has me on this with my trailer that we're staying in. I'm staying with and my trailer is DJ Z Trip. Yeah. The cat who started GoPro, and DJ Eddie F. You know how Jeff like labels the names it. Our shit said the blueprint.
Nice.
But it didn't click till like years later. Like, right? And I started thinking about like the innovative stuff that I've, you know, done or been part of, you know what I mean, from being, you know, doing the mixtapes or you know, to, you know, having a podcast before it was the podcast, you know, from 2010 to 2013. But I needed that time to grow, to learn, to, you know, end up, you know, changing management. You know, we outgrew the relationship, but we still the best of friends and do business. You know, I can put them on the business moves now. They can put me on the business moves now. But I never stopped.
What's the process now? Okay, so if you're as an independent, what are the new rules? What's the new lay of the land as far as knowing how to successfully roll out? you know, the thing was, for a long time, I still thought you were on a major because, like, one of these video rollouts you had was crazy, and I was just like, damn, like, I'm on a major and they're not even rolling out like this. Or maybe you were just in my algorithm like crazy.
What's the rules? The first rule is you gotta be prepared to spend your own bread.
Okay.
You gotta you know what I mean?
Bet on
like,
yourself.
Like you gotta bet on
it.
yourself. You gotta you know not and when you know and you gotta be self-contained. You gotta be able to spend your own bread. You know and a lot of times to do that as an independent artist, you may find yourself and you have to be uncomfortable in other areas.
Mm-hmm.
You have to sacrifice in other areas. You know, indie you can hire the same team that the majors hire. It ain't but there's so many people that they can use for radio promotion. It's not so many.
Is radio still a priority to you now?
Absolutely, radio still pays the biggest payout. Radio is relevant. You know who cares about radio? Live Nation. You know who cares about radio? Black Promoter Collective. And I know this because that's where they're gonna go to do the advertisement for the show. If you ain't popping on the radio and they got an ad running for you to radio for people to come see you, like who's gonna come? You know what I mean? Now, do you need radio to create a movement? Absolutely not. You can be. You know, if you look at one of our hometown heroes, Brent Fires, for example, right? Who's from PG County, right?
Right.
Huge fan of what he's done with his movement. If you look at like an artist like Logic, who I discovered, by the way, and dropped the ball on that, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was like about to joke. Seriously?
Yeah.
Explain.
Previous manager, still big homie, Jerry Vines, reaches out. Well, actually, Jerry and my previous partner, Dre Demir, you know, I had a label at one point, 368 Music Group, say, oh, we got this kid. And, you know, at the time, we didn't know he was, you know, he's black.
A wizard.
You know? Yeah, he was a wizard, right? Right? And so they're like, we got this white boy, we want you to meet.
That's
right.
Yeah, right.
And I instantly fell in love with him as an artist. Like he reminded me of me so much. Like his passion for it, his hunger for it, his humility. You know, not knowing how dope he always knew he was dope. But just to see him grow into the confidence and you know, ultimately we didn't sign him to our label because we had an artist that we felt like, well, my partner had an artist that we felt like it was too, you know, it was in the same space and we'd be, you know,
too similar.
Yeah, and we'd be, you know, it wouldn't be fair to our artists, you know what I mean? But I can wholeheartedly say, and it's not the first time I would say it or the last, that had we done that, it might not even panned out for him the way it was supposed to play out. It played out how it was supposed to play out for him, and I'm like super proud of him and happy for him, you know. But yeah, it's I got stories like that for days, you know what I mean, of like different, you know, hey, can you pull up to the radio station? We got somebody we want you to meet, and just kind of like put some words of encouragement on them, and I looking back on it, I could have been involved. Wale, you know what I mean, like different things, you know, but again, everybody has their path and their course to take, you know what I mean? And so I've always taken, even now, like the big homie approach in terms of like the way like Jazzy, Jeff, and what Kenny and them have like, you know, taught me, and you know, Cliff Jones and Jerry Vine, like anybody who's ever been like, you know, I take the good, the bad, the ugly, and be able to apply that to, you know, that next artist out there that is on the come up, that, you know, that I repost or that I slide in the DM just to say, hey, you're dope.
Who is there an artist right now that we might not be aware of that we should be looking out for, or someone that's bubbling under?
I mean, absolutely.
I know there's so many.
Yeah, it's so many, man.
I don't want to get you in trouble because if you name one, like, why did you?
Nah. I mean, of course, like, I'm gonna always shout out, you know, people that I work with in real time, like Yazara, who's on another run right now, Granique, who I put out a project on Granique. We did a project.
How do you
together.
choose your collaborators when you do like collaborative records?
Usually like it's friends, man. It's friendships. Okay. It organically happens. You know what I mean? Like I don't really push. You know what I mean? Shout out to Brenda McKinney in Houston. Neptune 21, who's crazy. Neptune, I introduced you to Neptune when we did the rehearsal for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's super dope.
Okay.
She currently lives in Philly, but is originally from the DC area.
Got you.
It's so many, man. Kennedy Ryan, who I'm a super fan of. Shout out to her and her manager. Like they get it. Obviously, I've been following and watching La Russell for a very long time. I started using Even.biz direct to consumer because of La Russell.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, those are the artists, and to bring it full circle, like be willing to spend your own bread. Be frugal about it. You're gonna need a team. It's going to be a lot of you're going to have to work 10 times as harder, right? And understand that we are in a direct to consumer era now. You know what I mean? Like, this is an NFC card right here. Like on the back, it's got like the stats of, and that's you, by the way. You can
Thank you.
Yeah,
I was like, oh,
yeah, you can
this
sign
is your
that.
hotel key.
Yeah,
Or
you tap that to your phone, unlock your phone, and just tap it, and you can pull up literally and enjoy the entire album, on Even.biz. I did, we're approaching like 40,000 mark right now on Even.biz. The first 3 weeks of me putting out the album from, 3-4 weeks from February 13th into, rolling over into the fourth week, I did over 25,000 direct to consumer, only, a little over 600 fans at the time had supported the platform. When we do our Roots album,
go ahead, manifest it.
Yeah.
All right.
The Roots featuring Raheem. When we do the album,
okay.
And like I know. Let me just say this, man. As a diehard, I stand on this 10 toes down. The Roots are the hip hop Rolling Stones. And we want more music. We want more albums.
I promise you, it's coming.
I
promise you.
And you guys would do very well in a direct-to-consumer space. Right?
I promise you. I
like, you know what I mean? Y'all would do very well in a direct-to-consumer space. Like, there's so many things that you can do. I'll give y'all this one for free. Just do the album and just put it on vinyl. Do an album where you can only get it on vinyl. Like, every artist should be doing. I'm going to do it. Do it. Run with it. Everybody can do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, vinyl is back. Tape cassettes are back.
Yes, they are.
They just did vinyl just did $1 billion evaluation this year. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just in vinyl. Like, vinyl never went away though. You know what I mean? I'm just finding, I just ordered a batch of heavy, CDs as and recently, and bought burners and all the things, right? And disc makers, which is right there in right outside Philly.
Yeah.
They've been in business for 80 years.
Yep.
I get on the phone and get to talking to the guy on the phone, and he's like, yeah, I've been here. He's been there longer than I've been on Jive, like he's been there since before I was with Jive Records, right?
He will outlast all of us.
And
yes.
I said, hey, are you seeing a resurgence? And he was like, in CDs? And he was like, yeah. I said, I'm thinking it's like right now. He's like, oh no, it started during COVID. We had to literally make space and create another room where we could, to be able to deal with the supply and demand of
CDs are making a comeback.
Yeah, CDs.
Like I've been collecting.
CDs are. I just it's crazy. I just did a show prior to going. It was like one of the last shows I did. It was the last show I did for the 20 Lessons of Love tour in Augusta, and literally I was the headliner, so I only had like this very small window of time to do meet and greet, like literally 5 to 10 minutes, and we did like $600 in like CDs like that quick, and I'm like, man, if we was out here for about a good hour,
yep,
oh, it'd be crazy, you know. And people, you know, cassettes, like I did, you know, this project that's out right now, Quiet Storm Lover, Tume Un. DM me if you want. I'll personally send you the link. All right, on Instagram, Facebook.
Love this guy.
Hit me up. That's my version of J. Cole being outside. Right? Yeah, I'm outside digitally. I'm in the DMs. I'm heavy. You know what I mean?
You mentioned something. I have to ask you this. You talked about CDs having a resurgence during COVID. 2020 was definitely a Mason-Dixon line, if you will.
Yeah.
Of life lessons.
Mm-hmm.
We either evolved or devolved. Yeah. What did you learn in 2020?
That's where direct-to-consumer began, right? I learned to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Man, I did rent parties. I did mortgage parties during...
You did good times rent parties?
Well, I did online mortgage parties during COVID. You know what I mean? That was my... Stage It. It was a platform called Stage It.
Okay.
That I found out about. And... yeah, I would literally do a concert on Stage It. It still exists.
Okay.
StageIt.com. You can go there. You can literally set up in here, put a concert up on Stage It, and set a date. They can pre-sell tickets, the whole thing, and do a concert, and you know, be safe and not have to worry about contact. That was, you know, back then that was a thing.
The first time you did the rollout, like, what was that like?
It was. I mean, it's always a nervousness of like, is anybody going to like trust the process of this? Mm-hmm. And then you start seeing people buy tickets, and then you know you do. You know, I'm in there doing everything myself because it's COVID. So I'm like down to the, you know, I'm troubleshooting. I got somebody on the phone.
You're doing your own engineering.
Yeah, I'm doing the whole thing.
Right.
And then it's a countdown. The show's about to start, and then boom, and then I'm like triggering the tracks, and I would do that like once a month, and it was like, you know, it was my sanity. And
are they giving you live feedback?
You're there in the chat. They can tip you.
Okay.
So I already bought a ticket. So you got like 500 people in there who bought a ticket for $20, right? And then they tip you on top of that, and then after you log off, the after party's on Instagram. And, and then I'm playing music, you know, like D Nice, but I'm not DJing. I'm just triggering songs. Like, I didn't realize that when I was doing, you know, mixtape Mondays or woke Wednesdays or Sage and Slow Jams on Clubhouse before it was public, mm-hmm. that I was preparing myself to have the #1 nighttime music show, the original Quiet Storm that Melvin Lindsay used to do. But
that's what I'm leading to. What is it like to inherit such a landmark institution as the Quiet Storm?
It's I can honestly, I'm humbly saying this, like, I didn't feel any pressure, mm-hmm. but it is a lot of pressure though. Like, it's like I know what's on the line. So I respect it, I honor it, mm-hmm. and I try to, you know, I always try to move with authenticity. I respect what it means because I grew up listening to it. It's the most trippy thing, mm-hmm. to be able. I mean, I'm sure you.
What was your first day like taking the reins?
Oh man, it was just like I cried.
Nice.
I cried when I signed my contract.
Nice.
You know, I talked. I was in. I just, you know, I had my Holy Ghost moment in the car. You know.
Nice.
And you know, I went to my mama's crib to go listen to it. You know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. you know what I mean? To listen to it, like, you know, the first night. And yeah, man, it's one thing to be able, you know, I never take for granted even this moment right here, because I'm a huge Roots fan. Like, you don't understand, you wouldn't know. If you know, you know.
It's reciprocated. Right? Thank you.
Yeah,
brother.
and so I remember getting a call one time from my manager, mm-hmm. that it was almost an opportunity where somebody where I don't know if it was like Martin Luther was going to sit it out or Bilal was going to sit it out. I was supposed to go overseas with y'all.
I remember.
Come and sing all the singing parts, mm-hmm. and then it fell through at I was crushed.
Sorry, man.
Sorry. I was like, oh. But yeah, like, I mean, yeah, man. Like, it's to bring it full circle.
Yeah.
There's moments that you have where you know you're blessed if like the people who you like grew up listening to, that they become like your friends or your associates or your mentors. You know what I mean? And you know, when that happens, it's just like, oh man, it's just like so cool. You know, and that's what that's the feeling of like being at HU. I had to go by there, you know, yesterday. Obviously I'm in New York, so I pre-recorded my show for tonight, right? And I'm pre-recording, you know, doing the tour, and you know, like that's the other thing. I haven't missed a beat, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm live on remote from this spot and that spot, and it's interesting, man, to see that it's just overwhelming, like to be able to, you know, I've done numbers and I've been, you know, number one, and like I went from having the number one urban show to the number one nighttime show, and like tying with like white contemporary Christian radio or talk radio, like things that they told me like it wouldn't happen, right? And
because I don't live in the DMV area, I haven't heard it.
We have a free app, you know, for Android, iPhone. Just download the 96.3 WHUR app and, you know, tap in.
So format wise, do you have a say in the songs that are chosen?
I actually do. Like it's cool, like to be able to make suggestions and they actually be honored, or to be able to be like, they actually love when I say, hey, I got a record I did last night. Can I just play it?
I was going to say, can you sing?
Yeah.
There was a point where I think when Busy Body came out, Luther Vandross would do a tour. He would do WDAS, Howard State. He would do all the black stations and sing live on the air, like 3 songs each. Like
now I haven't took it there yet.
Okay.
I've had a guest though. You know, it's a thin line with grace where I, you know, people already know what I do. So when I'm not on air, so my thing is like it's
church and state.
Yeah, it's cool to be able to break the Kendrick record though.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Like last year, you know what I mean? Or like, you know, to break the new Eric Roberson, the new Eric Roberson record, Avery Sunshine. You know, Avery Sunshine's, you know, Sweeter Than You. Like I broke that record in DC. You know what I mean? And it's what Melvin was known for doing. So, you know, traditionally, and you know, it's one of the things I love about being at HUR. You know, in particular because you know, the legacy, you know, 50 years plus of what they've created, you know, and you know, and of course we got to give the legendary, the queen, you know, Kathy Hughes her roses, for being the you know the brainchild of, you know, the having a vision, breathing life into Melvin like that, you know. It's been great, man, and it's a new career path for me. I know at some point I will be syndicated, and
we need that.
Yeah.
Like when I was, of course, like, you know, Philly had Quiet Storm like when I was like 10, 11, 12, and you know, I wasn't in the slow jams at 10, 11, 12, but now I can appreciate it. But yeah, it needs to be syndicated.
It's nothing. It's interesting. I get stopped in the street and at venues and the grocery store and just like different places, and it's not about being Raheem DeVaughn, the artist. It's about being Raheem DeVaughn, the radio guy. And radio, terrestrial radio, will always exist. It will always matter. One, it's free. You don't need a subscription. Right. And it just connects you to community in a different way. And you know, and with all that's going on in the world, in the country, on the planet, you know, Monday through Friday from 7:30 to midnight, it's my opportunity to remind people that, you know, that 528 megahertz energy is a real thing. It's a frequency. Love is the answer. You're not alone, even if you feel like you're alone. No matter what you no matter, you know, what you went through today, like this is a safe space to unplug, and to heal, and to just, you know, and just be on the vibration of what we all love. You know, good, bad, or indifferent. We got a slow jam for every occasion, and it's great, man. And I'm doing Sirius XM on the weekends now too. Yeah, HUR Voices Channel 141. Yeah, from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight.
There you go.
It's a quick 2-hour show thing.
Well, you're the Love King.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
And you are Questlove. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for showing us love, brother. And
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate it. All right. Love King, ladies and gentlemen. Raheem DeVaughn. The Questlove Show is hosted by me, Amir Questlove Thompson. The executive producers are Sean G., Brian Calhoun, and me. Produced by Brittany Benjamin and Jake Payne. Produced for iHeart by Noel Brown. Edited by Alex Conroy. iHeart Video support by Mark Canton. Logos, graphics, and animation by Nick Paloe. Additional support by Lance Coleman. Special thanks to Kathy Wrong. Special thanks to Sugar Steve Mandel. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share the Questlove Show wherever you stream your podcast. Make sure you follow us on socials. That's at QLS. Check out hundreds and hundreds of QLS episodes, including the Questlove Supreme shows and our podcast archives. Questlove Show is a production of iHeartRadio.